In the quiet hills of rural Tennessee, where the mornings dawned with a soft mist rolling over the green fields, lived a young man named Jack Thompson. Jack was 22, with calloused hands from years of working his family's small farm. He wasn't much for the big city lights. His world was the winding dirt roads, the old oak trees that whispered in the wind, and the clear creek that cut through the valley like a silver ribbon. Every day started the Samia milking the cows at sunrise, tending the vegetable patch, and fixing whatever fence the deer had knocked down overnight. It was a simple life, one that grounded him. But lately, Jack felt a quiet ache for something more, though he couldn't quite name it. One warm afternoon in late spring, Jack decided to take a walk along the creek's edge. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Birds chirped lazily from the branches, and the air smelled of fresh earth and wildflowers. He carried a fishing pole over his shoulder, not really planning to catch anything, just needing the peace of the water's gentle flow. As he strolled, his boots sinking slightly into the soft soil, he thought about his ma back at the house, baking bread, and his pot in the barn repairing the tractor. Life moved slow here, and that suited Jack just fine. But as he rounded a bend where the creek widened into a marshy area, something caught his eye. There, in a patch of what looked like ordinary mud, was a young woman struggling. Her arms flailed as she sank deeper, her face pale with fear. Quicksand it was rare in these parts, but Jack knew the signs from stories his grandpa used to tell. The ground here could turn treacherous after heavy rains, swallowing anything that stepped wrong. "Hey, hold still," Jack called out, his voice steady but urgent. He dropped his fishing pole and scanned the area for something to use. A sturdy branch lay nearby. He grabbed it, testing its strength. The woman about his age, with long brown hair matted with mud, looked up at him, her blue eyes wide. "Don't move too much," he said calmly. "It'll pull you in faster. Just grab this when I get it to you." He edged closer, careful not to step into the soft spot himself. Lying flat on the firmer ground, he extended the branch toward her. She reached out, her fingers trembling, and latched on. "Pull yourself toward me, nice and slow," Jack instructed. Inch by inch, with him tugging from his end, she worked her way free. Mud clung to her clothes, and she gasped for breath as she finally collapsed onto solid earth beside him. "Thank you," she whispered, sitting up and brushing dirt from her face. I didn't see it coming. I was just walking, trying to clear my head." Jack helped her to her feet, his hands gentle on her arms. "No problem at all. Name's Jack. You okay? That stuff can be scary." "I'm Emily," she replied, her voice soft, with a hint of an accent he couldn't place. "Maybe from up north." She wore simple jeans and a light jacket, nothing fancy, but there was something polished about her, like she didn't belong in this muddy backwoods. "Yeah, I'm fine now, just a bit shaken." They sat by the creek for a while, letting the sun dry them off. Jack offered her some water from his canteen, and they talked easily. Emily said she was visiting the area for a break from the city hustle. She didn't say which city, and Jack didn't press. He shared stories of village life via the annual fair with its pie contests, the way the stars lit up the night sky without any city glow to dim them. Emily listened, her eyes lighting up, as if his words painted a picture she'd never seen before. As the afternoon faded, Jack walked her back toward the main road. "You sure you don't need a ride or anything?" he asked. She shook her head, smiling faintly. "No, my ride's coming." "Thanks again, Jack. You're a real hero," he chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Just doing what anyone would." "Take care, Emily," she waved as she disappeared down the path, and Jack headed home, the encounter lingering in his mind like a warm breeze. The next few days passed in their usual rhythm, but Jack found himself thinking of Emily often. Her smile, the way she laughed at his joke about the stubborn mule on his farm, it stuck with him. Then, one evening, as he was chopping wood behind the house, he heard a car pull up the gravel drive. It was a sleek black SUV, nothing like the rusty pickups folks drove around here. Out stepped Emily, looking cleaner but still in casual clothes. "Emily?" Jack said, setting down his axe. "What brings you back?" She approached with a shy grin. "I wanted to thank you properly, and maybe see if you'd show me around. I don't know anyone here, and this place feels so peaceful. Jack's heart skipped a beat. Sure, I'd like that. Over the following weeks, they spent time together. Jack showed her the hidden spots of the old mill by the river, where the water wheels still turned lazily, the hilltop where wild blueberries grew in summer. They picnicked under the oaks, sharing sandwiches his ma packed. Emily opened up a little, talking about how overwhelming her life could be, with expectations weighing on her like heavy stones. She never specified what those expectations were, and Jack sensed not to pry. He shared his own relatable troubles at the farm, struggling with low crop prices, his dream of maybe expanding it one day, but fearing he'd never have the means. Their conversations flowed like the creek, slow and natural. One afternoon, as they sat on a log watching dragonflies skim the water, Emily turned to him. "Jack, why do you stay here? It's beautiful, but don't you want more?" He thought for a moment, the wind rustling the leaves overhead. "This is home, it's real, but yeah, sometimes I wonder about the world out there." "What about you? What pulls you away from the city?" She hesitated, her fingers tracing patterns in the dirt. "Family stuff." "It's complicated." He nodded, respecting the pause. In those quiet moments, a bond grew, gentle, unspoken, like roots taking hold in fertile soil. But as summer deepened, Emily's visits became more frequent, and Jack noticed odd things. Once, a phone call made her tense. She stepped away, whispering urgently. Another time, he saw a man in a suit waiting in her SUV, like a driver or a bodyguard. Still, she brushed it off, saying it was work-related. The twist came softly, on a rainy evening. They were in Jack's barn, sheltering from the downpour, the smell of hay and wet earth filling the air. Emily had been quieter that day, her eyes distant. As thunder rumbled outside, she took a deep breath. "Jack, there's something I need to tell you. I haven't been completely honest." He leaned against a stall, his brow furrowing. "What's wrong?" "I'm not just some city girl on vacation. My father. He's Richard Harlan, the billionaire, you know, the one who owns half the tech companies in Silicon Valley. I'm his only daughter." Jack blinked, the words sinking in slowly. He'd heard of Harlan, everyone had, from news clips about his massive fortune, his private jets, his influence in Washington. But Emily, she seemed so down to earth. "Why didn't you say anything?" he asked, his voice calm, without accusation. She looked down, rain pattering on the tin roof. "I wanted to be just Emily, not the heiress with bodyguards and expectations. When you saved me from that quicksand, you didn't know who I was. You just helped. It was the first time in years someone treated me like a normal person." Jack stepped closer, the hay crunching under his boots. "I get it, but it doesn't change anything for me. You're still the girl who laughs at my bad jokes and picks blueberries with mud on her hands." She smiled through tears, the storm outside mirroring the emotion in her eyes. "It changes everything, Jack. My life's a circus of paparazzi, board meetings, people wanting things from me. I didn't want to drag you into that." He took her hand, warm and steady. "Then don't. We can figure it out." Slow, like everything else around here. In the days that followed, the revelation hung between them like a gentle mist, not a storm. Emily shared more of her father's controlling ways, how he'd sent her here to unwind after a stressful year at college, but really to keep her out of the spotlight. Jack listened, offering quiet support. They walked the fields at dusk, the setting sun painting the sky in oranges and pinks, talking about dreams. Jack confessed his fear of the farm failing. Emily admitted her longing for freedom from her gilded cage. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching fireflies dance, Emily's phone buzzed insistently. It was her father, demanding she return home for a family event. She sighed, the weight evident. "I have to go back tomorrow," she said softly. Jack nodded, his heart heavy. "Will you come back?" She turned to him, eyes shining. "Yes, but I want you to come with me sometime. See my world. Maybe we can blend them." He smiled, pulling her close. "I'd like that." The next morning, as the SUV waited, Emily hugged him tightly. "Thank you for saving me twice. Once from the quicksand, and once from feeling alone." Jack watched her drive away, the dust settling on the road. But it wasn't goodbye. Weeks later, a letter arrived, and not an email, but real paper, with her handwriting. She invited him to visit, promising no pressure, just time together. When Jack stepped off the plane in California, the city buzzed around him, tall buildings, honking cars, a far cry from his village. Emily met him at the airport, her smile cutting through the chaos. They spent days exploring beaches at sunset, quiet cafes where they could talk undisturbed. Her father, stern at first, softened when he saw how grounded Jack was, how he treated Emily with genuine care. Back in Tennessee, they built a life that bridged their worlds. Emily used her resources to help the farm thrive via new equipment, sustainable practices without changing its soul. Jack showed her the joy of simple things, like stargazing on clear nights. They married in a small ceremony by the creek, where it all began, with villagers and a few city friends mingling under string lights. Years passed, and their story became legend in the village, a reminder that love could bloom from the muddiest beginnings. Jack and Emily grew old together, their home a haven of peace amid life's quicksands. In the end, it wasn't the money or the rescue that mattered, it was the quiet connection, the slow unfolding of hearts, that made their world complete.